I feel my member studio Hana Mene Honorable Avedzi Klutse. More and come. He's here because about the Public Accounts Committee. Wabimu otiakunywem sedwem tenani. Na Medika catch our petition their committee and the Speaker of Parliament officially with copies of these documents. Any other relevant state institutions say Pawacho Omunshadi Muna Omunkantre and said Sene Kwanswa Nonwa and I say a year ade fufra. Na Edding executive summary no any baby a yedri say me we radio no so anama koye ti echna no pa mema summary no TV ne so na mama we so kakra ka ho na fe ya beto so originally we assembly ni project na fe ya dey atoto so. Honorable, good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
I hope so. Here.
By the grace of God, I'm doing well.
You've been on the Public Accounts Committee for God knows how long now. I think about 4 years?
No, 8 years.
8 years now. Yes. 8 years. You've been the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. This is what we have.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Captain, for inviting me to your studio. First of all, I want to congratulate the internal auditor who did the audit at the Development Bank of Ghana. Usually, internal auditors are not bold enough to come out with findings in their reports. I say this because the internal auditors are part of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
They are not external to the organization. So all the time, we refer to internal auditors as the eye of management.
Okay.
So for instance, at Media General here, you have your internal audit unit. That internal audit unit is to look at your processes, your control system, and advise management that the control systems are effective, is strong enough, that will prevent any malfeasance to take place. So the internal audit unit is the eye of management. And in most of these government institutions, management usually do not allow the internal auditors to do their work. They don't allow them because they threaten them in some cases that, oh, if you do anything, you can be sacked, you can be transferred. And some internal auditors, because of this fear for job security, they don't tend to report adequately what they find in their audit. Another work of internal auditor is to pre-audit the transaction of that organization. So for instance, the internal auditor here in the Development Bank of Ghana should have pre-audited all the payments that have been made by the bank for the software purchase and all that. The internal auditor should have pre-audited them and advise management that management, you can go ahead and make payment because the transactions have been carried under the proper control procedure. Now, if this internal auditor, I do not think that he pre-audited the transactions. So, again, there must be something wrong there, that either this internal auditor is not allowed to do his work,
mm-hmm.
to do the pre-audit. So he's not doing after the transaction has taken place. If he has done pre-auditing, he would have advised management not to go ahead and make some payments. So there's a problem there in that case. Now let's come to the main issue.
Okay, Honorable, let me read this. This is coming from the Ghana Freedom Party.
Okay.
We spoke to their General Secretary not quite too long ago that they've officially filed with the Electoral Commission, nominated another person. But we are receiving another letter, which was actually received some few minutes ago from the Electoral Commission from Ghana Freedom Party. And it says the National Executive Committee of the Ghana Freedom Party, in consultation with the family of our late flag bearer, Madame Ekriadonko, has decided to withdraw from the impending December parliamentary and presidential elections. The decision, irrespective of how difficult it may be, has been reached to posthumously honor the commitment and sacrifices of our late founder and presidential candidate as the only person to send her candidature to grave. We are, by this letter, formally informing the Commission of our intention not to participate in the elections. Any inconveniences this decision may have caused the Commission and its calendar for the December 7th election is deeply regretted. We will be ready to participate in any future elections organized by the Electoral Commission. Count on your usual cooperations. Signed on behalf of NEC, Richard Botwe, National Organizer. Enti, Ekriadonko Party do. Wowan omo de krata ko ye yakan.
Assemble nie.
Sesi aso omo de krata aba se.
Assemble nie.
Wo mu nyanko.
Assemble nie.
Omo se eno Ekriadonko.
Onua.
Onfa
Yadwene mu.
ne candidate na no amfa nko na menem. Na omo de no hye na nunyam.
Captain Smart.
Aba Ghana presidential ballot to paper no. Eswo. Onfa nko asama.
He is smart.
But the question
he
is
is
that
unique.
na ballot paper no maame no be wo so de.
Assemble nie.
Only so.
Assemble nie.
Etiano no. Yeah, try say Benya National Organizer. Yes, Honorable. Now you said you want to go to the main issue.
Yeah,
yes.
so I want to go to the main issue for the Development Bank of Ghana going for the software, the license and then the software. Now, if what the internal auditor put out in these reports is anything to go by, the conclusion, simple, is that this payment made by the board of the bank or the management of the bank should be refunded by management. Should be refunded in a sense that, according to the internal auditor, no receipts and invoices were procured or received or were there for them.
Honorable, please hold up for me. Let me talk to Richard Botwe, the National Organizer of Ghana Freedom Party. Botwe, good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Minuana to say.
Madam.
Yo. Ghana Freedom Party, yeah, letters mienu and first one by say man nominati one Philip Pia Kubi. Say Onua Beko akwahye maame na yene mo General Secretary ekasa ye in 2 hours crampo. Then we have seen another letter say notice of withdrawal from the notice of withdrawal from the 2024 December 7th elections. Yene General Secretary akasa say we are national organizer. Let us name you no de he na yemfa.
Mebato meeting bia so enti afi na ebisia abusiafo no na ya stati bibia nje abusiafo no first of all omo ma me call say omo mu bia en contest ma me no Onua General Secretary guy no the ban George no Onua no de nepe and no de listen call into abusiafo cry aware say And then JB movie, I contested reason.
Debbie,
ya cancel will be, and that's why 2 hours we had such information news. And then a letter call say you have withdrawn everything. And yet, General Secretary, not some of the buy, and you're authentic.
A Sunday,
Everything.
Eti say no. Mami Ekwadonko Abusuafo na manage partner na say National Executive Committee of the party.
National Executive Committee na say ye move be enko. Na judge no kwanti bi use no discretion say or the obi contested mami no whereby flag bearer kra baby order ye nyehwe ye nyi week kra nyehwe otimi fetchiri say o contested you be contested mami no. Is it fair?
Electoral Commission nim say obi wa edin na awotweda te say de wokekan nyina ba Ghana mrakuni ni nso say sabibi sa say mamo enda makomako edu na mo nominate obi ede ne ko ti o hwe ye tete amamre na what the constitution ne and the mandate of the Electoral Commissioner asem yenu ne nko ana ebe katiara ebe katia
a Sunday nie.
Ebe kati because network dey here.
Sanbona mahamla. A Sunday nie.
Badi atiane se General Secretary declare tako na ECG anutum na we suko na omuso je anutum a say ECG be fa krata do mudi ehin. Is the Electoral Commission confused or not?
A Sunday.
All right. That is my Ghana for you. That is my Ghana for you.
A Sunday nie.
Okay, Honorable. Now to the substantive matter.
So, as I was saying, that if what the internal auditor put in the report is anything to go by, then the management of the bank must be made to refund this money. Because if they have made payments, check would have been written, or a direct bank transfer would have been made.
Yes, direct bank transfer is what happened actually.
Yes. Now you made a direct bank transfer to the what is the name of that company?
Kulana.
Kulana. You made a direct transfer to Kulana. Kulana must give you a receipt. First of all, it is based on the contract document. So even if they have not raised any invoice, that is something we can assume that the amount which is quoted in the contract document can replace the invoice. Then you have made a direct transfer to Kulana. Kulana must acknowledge receipt of that money.
Oh no, can you please pull the microphone to your mouth more? Yes, thank you.
Kulana must acknowledge receipt of the money, and when Kulana received the receipt of the money, acknowledge it, that must come in the form of receipts, which the bank must use to support the payment voucher that they raise for that payment. If all these are not there, then is it actually true that the Kulana received the money? Or if Kulana received the money, why didn't Kulana issue a receipt? It means that, one, what could possibly happen is that Kulana received the money, and probably the money is shared with somebody. Nobody can tell. And the worst of it is that the bank did not use the software for the 5 years. The bank did not use the software. So what did the bank pay for? Did Kulana render any services at all to the bank?
No.
So if
Per the report, they didn't render any services.
They have not rendered any services to the bank, why were they also paid for the services that they claim in a contract that they are raising.
They were paid 5 years for contract they've not started actually executing. Implementing.
So once the bank did not use the services for the period, and then once there is no receipt to confirm that the money was actually received by Kulana, I think that the management must respond. And if you look at the response from management, it is noted. Noted for what? Even though the issue is not clear to management, it is noted. What are you noting for? If the issues are not clear to you, you say it's noted. You understand the point?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is not clear to you, and you say
it's noted.
What are you noting?
They are not seeing the unclearness of the report sent to them.
So there's an issue there. So to me, this is simple. That is internal audit reports. This will not go to any other report unless the Auditor General go to do the final audit.
Okay.
If the final audit done by the Auditor General also confirm the internal auditor's position, this definitely will have to be reported. And I believe strongly that the Auditor General will recommend a refund of the money by the management.
But majority of the time we hear recommendations from the Auditor General's report asking people to refund such monies. They will appear before you and your committee. You will have a long deliberations, wasting almost everybody's time in this country. At the end of the day, nothing is being retrieved.
Yeah, good. So we are not delving into the work of the Public Accounts Committee now. The Auditor General made a recommendation to Parliament. And in that recommendation, the Auditor General sometimes will ask for a refund of the money.
Mm-hmm.
The report is referred to the Public Accounts Committee. Now, the Public Accounts Committee has a mandate to review the report of the Auditor General and also make a recommendation for plenary, for adoption. This is why we have the challenge. The Public Accounts Committee do not have the final mandate or power to punish anybody. Whatever is a finding of the Auditor General, which the Public Accounts Committee confirmed, the recommendation of the Public Accounts Committee must come back to the plenary. That is the entire House in the form of a motion. Now
who is supposed to table that?
Yes, it's the chair of the committee that will table it. And I have tabled a number of reports.
And what happened to them?
We have also made a number of recommendations. We have recommended people to be prosecuted. We have recommended people to refund money based on the report of the Auditor General.
So after the discussion on the plenary, what does it go?
After the discussion on plenary, we'll take a vote. Mm-hmm. The vote is either accept the report and the recommendation of the Public Accounts Committee.
And you've done the voting?
Reject it. Yes.
Have you done the voting?
We vote.
Over the years?
Usually through voice votes.
Okay.
Because the issues are not controversial, which anybody will be against it. So through voice vote, we approve the recommendation of the Auditor General.
And it's sent to where?
Yes, that is where I'm coming.
Okay.
If the report of the Public Accounts Committee is moved, debated, and adopted, this report must be communicated back to the appropriate agency that must take action. So if it is about prosecution, the action must be taken by the Attorney General.
So all these documents are further on sent to the Office of the Attorney General?
Yes. Attorney General will have to prepare the case, work with the Auditor General, because the Auditor General auditors who did the audit have the audit trail. So the Attorney General's office will depend on the work of the Auditor General to prosecute the people. Now, for over 2 years that we have, the committee have recommended people to be prosecuted. Mm-hmm. The Attorney General did not take any action. So at a point, when the Attorney General department actually appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, I asked the Deputy Minister that why is it that all the recommendations of the Public Accounts Committee are not being implemented or being carried. This is the answer he gave me, that no communication has come from Parliament to them that these people are to be prosecuted based on the report of the Public Accounts Committee. And my check also confirmed that the letter drafted by the clerk of my committee, which must be signed by the clerk to Parliament. Because we have a structure in Parliament. The head of the Parliamentary Service is the clerk to Parliament. And whatever must leave Parliament to any agency for action must be signed by the clerk or somebody that is authorized by the clerk to sign. So when the clerk to the Public Accounts Committee prepared the letter, he sent it to the deputy clerk to Parliament, who vetted it, and then finally sent it to the clerk to Parliament himself to sign. For over 2 years, the clerk to Parliament refused to sign the letter.
Yes.
For over 2 years,
Yes,
the clerk to Parliament refused.
to sign the letter.
Why?
Nobody can tell why.
Is it because maybe he knows some of the people who were cited in the
I
report?
can't tell the reason why he cannot sign. Just append his signature so that the letter can go to the Attorney General's office for the people to be prosecuted.
No, but you have the powers.
I have to keep pushing. Why? To the extent that I have to report him to the Speaker. So one afternoon, I have to raise the matter on the floor of the House.
Wow. To that extent?
Yes. I have to raise the matter on the floor of the House. It was then that he went and signed the letter.
After 2 years?
Yes, after 2 years. It was then that he went and signed the letter, and the letter was then sent to the Attorney General's Department. So, in May...
Please, when was this?
This happened early this year.
Early this year. So what it means that the letter was ready somewhere 2022?
Yes, somewhere 2022. When we started referring people for prosecution. Yes, for over 2 years, the letter was not sent to the appropriate agencies. Here,
because the clerk to Parliament refused to
do that. I pushed. As I said, the last one was to make or to complain on the floor of the House. Then he went and signed the letter. So in July, when the Deputy Attorney General appeared before the Public Accounts Committee again, I asked, have you received the letter now? And he confirmed that yes, now the letter has been received by the office and they have set up a team to start the process to prosecute the people. So I hope that all the effort of the Public Accounts Committee, where we bring people who have been referred or in the report of the Auditor General, which we confirm and also make a recommendation, I hope that those people will be prosecuted so that it can serve as a deterrent to the rest of us who are public servants and civil servants.
In your line of responsibility and duty, have you come across anything called oral contracts?
No. I don't know how you are going to authenticate oral contracts.
I was exactly going to ask you.
I don't know. So I haven't seen anything oral contracts.
But in this contract, you saw one, the internal auditor's report.
Well, maybe
the supplementary thing that was signed between Kulana and then the CEO.
I haven't seen that. If there is anything as oral contract, whether it's going to be a recording on a tape to be played, whatever, I haven't done that or haven't seen that before. So I cannot confirm what is reported here by the internal auditor of the bank.
All right. I want us to rest this much and then we'll go. I don't know if you would like to say something about whether the NDC is now majority or the NDC is still minority. What happened in Parliament, the declaration of the 4 seats as vacant by the Speaker of Parliament, and other things that followed suit, the Supreme Court and all.
Well, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Speaker made an announcement that based on this article of the Constitution, this number of members of Parliament have taken actions which made their seat now vacant. Onua. There are 4 members of Parliament, 3 of them who were elected on the ticket of political parties have now gone to file to contest as independent. And by that action, they have vacated their seats. Another member who was elected as an independent member have also now gone to file on the ticket of a political party. So he has also vacated his seat. Speaker just made an announcement. And if you look at where these 4 people are coming from, out of the 3 members of parliament who now contest independent, 1 is from the NDC, 2 from the NPP. The independent member is now filed on the ticket of NPP. Now, before then, that independent member was working with the NPP. That made them majority because, we are all 137, 137. And independent member is working with them, making the 138. That is why they got the majority. So if he is no more, he has vacated his seat, that seat is vacant, he cannot be counted. The other 2 members who have also gone to contest independent, their seat is vacant, they can also not be counted. So the 138 will drop to 135. Now NDC 137, one member has gone to contest independent, has also vacated his seat, that can also not be counted. So 137 minus 1 comes to 136. Per a simple arithmetic, a simple calculation, 136 against 135, which one is majority? 136.
Yes.
And who are the 136? NDC.
Okay.
So we are majority. By simple calculation. If the issue is being contested in court, for me, as a lay person, that constitution, that articles do not need interpretation. That article doesn't need interpretation. But if they want to be interpreted, I don't know what different interpretation they're going to give. Are they going to make argument for interpretation? Argument time is over. The argument on whether that clause will affect somebody as a voter or whatever, it is at the time the Constitution was being drawn. That's the time you made that argument.
So what do you make of the Supreme Court's ruling?
That what?
I mean, the ruling they came out, the Chief Justice read about if those seats are declared vacant, the constituents will be without a representation.
I think that reason is the reason that will be expounded at the time the Constitution was being drawn. So the people who drafted the Constitution to take that into consideration in coming with those clauses. And I think that they have done that. Yet, they put those things in the Constitution. So, are we going to interpret the Constitution by coming out with new arguments? Or we interpret the Constitution based on what the intent of the Constitution?
So you think the Supreme Court erred?
Well, when we get there on Thursday, we'll see what will happen.
Oh, you go on Thursday?
We are going on Thursday. There's a recall.
So where are you sitting on Thursday?
Majority side, the right of the Speaker.
That is the decision of the NDC MPs.
No, that is my personal decision.
But so when you go and you sit there
my leaders have not communicated anything to me yet.
So when you get there and your leader is sitting on a different side of
I'll
the
go and
speaker.
sit when my leader is sitting.
Hey.
Wow. If I go my leader sit at the minority side, I'll go and sit there. But if my leader sits at the majority side, I'll sit at the majority side.
Captain Smart.
Okay. Let's see where Honorable Kezel Atofose will sit. That will determine where all of you will sit.
He's our leader.
Okay.
We take instruction from him.
But you are going on Thursday.
Well, we are going on Thursday.
Well, what happens to Honorable Dafiama Post's suit against the Speaker?
I just read it on the screen here. I haven't seen the details yet.
Okay.
If that prevents we going on Thursday, by tomorrow we'll know.
I actually do not know the things that you are to discuss on the floor of the House. But a few people I've spoken to tells me there are urgent things on the table that Parliament is expected to debate on, vote, so that government can have some money and then...
That is government business. Whatever business they have, with the House seat, they will introduce it. If we have a good atmosphere, we'll work on it and approve. But for me, based on my experience in Parliament, the only thing that we need to do before the end of the year is the approval of vote on accounts. Vote on account is the budget for the first quarter of next year.
Okay.
Because we're in election year, we don't present budget in election year. The budget is presented in the year after the election year.
Okay.
So that the party that wins the election must come up with their own budget. Based on that, the Constitution made provision that in the election year, there must be an estimate. For instance, if the total budget is going to be, let's say, 100 billion Ghana cedis, at least 25 billion Ghana cedis will be submitted to Parliament for Parliament to approve, so that from January 2025, government machinery must run. Then from that January 2025 to end of March, the new government will then prepare their own budget, which they will then introduce to Parliament to be debated and adopted. So
Captain Smart.
the only thing that we, as members of Parliament, need to do before the end of the year is approval of vote on account, which can be done within a half a day. So I don't know the reason for the recall, but I can foresee that one of them will definitely be the approval of vote on account, which, as I said, if we are sitting for only Thursday, the day is sufficient enough for us to approve that request, so that from January 1st, government machinery can continue to run. Apart from that, the rest are government of the days requests, which, if we have the time.
Will that have any effect on us as people if government business is not being actually discussed on the floor of the House?
Well, what are the businesses? The one that will affect you as an individual, it's the vote on account, which I said we will have to do it before the end of the year.
Are there any other things that you are privy to?
No.
Things that they've laid. I'm
I
told
do
about
not even foresee any other thing.
the agreement, the measure of the hydro dams, Kosomo and Bui, and a few other ones that have been laid before the House.
Are those his agents?
I'm only asking.
No, to me, they are not agents.
They are not agents.
No. The next government can do that. The next government can do that and take time to do it well. Let's not rush it. Look, election is coming in less than 30, almost 30 days' time. We want to rush what? Let's not rush things. Let's take our time and do it. Why do we wait till election is coming before we pushing things? We'll do it and do it, not do it well, and it will come back to affect the people. So let's put those things aside. Once it's not an emergency, let's put it aside. Let the new government come and prepare well and do it well so that the people can benefit. The one that should be done before the end of the year is a vote on account, so that workers can be paid in January, workers can be paid in February, workers can be paid in March before the new budget is approved.
Right. Wow. Okay, now back to the economy. You've been in this country for quite a long time. Yeah. I mean, you've been a member of parliament and all that. Tell me, how did we get here?
We get here because of recklessness.
On whose part?
Or the people who are holding the purse, the government purse. You see, there are three arms of government. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. They all have their functions. The public funds are vested in the executive, the president and his ministers. The Constitution mandates them to use this fund for the welfare and the well-being of the people. Okay? Government must run with laws. Every activity in this country must be governed by law. So there is a mandate of Parliament to enact the laws. Yet, the draft policy and the draft law must come from the executive. The executive bring the draft to Parliament, Parliament fine-tune it and finally approve it, and then it go back to the president to assent. It becomes law to govern all of us. So our function is the enactment of laws. And then the interpretation of the law, and then The rest rests with the judiciary. So if the government of the day, which is the executive arm of government, is not using the funds available well to the people, to benefit the people, and that has carried us from the certain point to where we have reached now, it is the government of the day that should be blamed. They have not managed the economy well. They have recklessly worked with the government machinery in terms of borrowing, in terms of expenditure, in terms of revenue mobilization, to the extent that we have to come to a point where public debts is running towards 800 billion Ghana cedis. From 120 billion in 2017 January to 760 something, getting to 800 billion. This is the debt that government must pay.
Honorable, we have institutions that are supposed to hold government accountable. Yes. Parliament is one. But majority of the time what we hear is that if there's anything, they bring money to Parliament, parliamentarians are lobbied, and you watch some of these things go on unchecked.
You see, sometimes when I hear this argument that Parliament is to be a check on the executive, theoretically, that is the case. But in practical terms, no.
Theoretically, who wrote that?
Theoretically, that's what the Constitution says, that each of these three arms are checked on each side. So we talk about check and balances. So Parliament is to tell executive that what you are doing is not good, don't do it. And the executive listen to that and they don't do it. But where the Parliament tell the executive that what you are doing is not good, and they went ahead and did it, yet there is no power again for Parliament to punish that executive.
Yes, I understand, but we don't hear you guys talk about it.
No.
Majority of the time we hear in Parliament you stage a walkout and a few other discussions and all that. The walkouts are not some, in fact, actually, some of them I don't understand. I don't mean you as either majority or minority. But over the years, parliamentary walkouts, sometimes, You
see, the parliamentary walkout comes when you get to a point that you realize that there's nothing you can do. You have said your part, which was not being listened to. You end up saying that I will not be part of this. I'm walking out. Okay. That is the case.
That's
now,
one.
See, decisions in Parliament are taken by the simple majority. Apart from few, the entrenched clauses that you need to test majority, the rest are taken by simple majority. So, NDC is 137. MPP is 137 plus one independent, 138. Any critical matter that we are going to vote on, they make sure all their 138 comes to Parliament. You remember there was a time that one of the sick MPs was brought to Parliament in an ambulance because they need that vote for the approval of what they want. So, yes, Parliament is there, but the Parliament is divided. Those belong to the government will go by the government, and those belong to the opposition will go by the opposition. Even if the opposition is right, once the government says that, I want it, whether it's right, good or not, bad, I want it, all the members will follow government side. That is what the problem is. The problem is that all members of the government, the MPs, will have to toe the line of what their leaders say.
But are you aware that Ghanaians are not satisfied with the work of this current Parliament? Are you aware? Do you know that?
Well,
we are not satisfied.
I'm not aware. But I can see that the expectation of Ghanaians was that because the number is 137 and 137 plus 1 make it 138, there are certain or most of the things that the government want to do should be stopped.
Yes, but you couldn't do that.
We couldn't do it.
Why?
I just explained.
No, you see, sometimes it's not about you stopping it. It's about how vociferous you will be with the matter. We know, I mean, as individuals, we are aware that in Parliament, the minority will have their say and the majority will have their way. But when there's too much pressure from the minority, and we know that the minority, yes, is actually pushing government to either stop this or do that, you have the support of the masses. But we are not feeling you guys.
No. Smart, I disagree with you.
Are you sure?
I disagree because, look, listen to me. You remember that we even rejected the budget before. Haven't we rejected the budget before?
Once.
Haven't we rejected it?
Once.
What did they do after that? They came back and one side said they have approved it. What do you have to do?
But apart from that, what else?
No, I'm just giving you that as an example.
Yes, I mean that one. It was on the floor. We had it.
Yes.
But look at things that are happening in this country.
Yes.
Look at the things that are happening in this country. The finance ministry says that every year, I mean, they lose $600 million. The minority is quiet about this. If you look at the numerous things that they've used as collateral, Cocoa Board, Get Fund, and all these things, these funds are used as collateral for loans. It is Parliament that approved these loans unilaterally. You watch them approve loans using the future of our children as collateral. Get Fund collateral.
Captain, I just said it, and I'm going to repeat myself. That just one vote will approve whatever.
But make the noise. Let's hear you.
We have been making the noise.
No, for me, I don't hear it.
Maybe because you are always here. You don't.
No,
hear.
I don't hear. I don't feel this heat.
We make the noise. We make the noise all the time. Yes, we make the noise. But they will marshal all their members to come, including the sick ones, to come and approve with one difference. You see, we'll get to a point one day where we have a minority government, just like we are having. You see the way they are struggling, that they are not minority, simply because they know that once they have accepted that minority position, we control the House. With that one difference, because 136, 135, we now control the House with that one difference. They don't want it. They still want to control the House with one, so that whatever they want can go through. So it is a day that we'll have a minority government, where the president will have the minority members in Parliament. That is a day you will see how strong an opposition party is. Because the opposition party will then be controlling the House. And if it happens that way, nothing will go on. The country, the people will suffer.
No, until that time.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Until that time,
the people will suffer. So
why must we suffer?
Point, yes.
Whether the minority is just one person, we don't care. We want to make sure that that one person is doing the job that we send the person to Parliament to do.
Yeah.
So we are not interested in the numbers. After all, when you get the numbers, Parliament becomes a rubber stamp. You do what you like. We are saying that 135, 136, 137, 138 is enough. It's just a single voice.
That's right.
Added on.
And that single voice, take decision. That single voice, take decision. Unless we amend the Constitution, that we need this number, like in terms of our presidential election, the Constitution was clear that to become the president,
50
you must
plus
get
one.
50% plus one vote. If the Constitution has said simple majority, if you have a member, a presidential candidate who have 49.9%, the next person have 48.2%, the one with 49.9 will be the president. But that is not the case. The Constitution says that you must get 50 plus one vote, 50% plus one vote. In Parliament, decisions are taken by simple majority. In fact, the Constitution even says that to take decision in Parliament, you need not less than half all the members of Parliament. So once you get 136 or 138 members of Parliament seated on the floor, and then majority of that number approve the decision, it becomes binding. That is what the Constitution says. Unless we want to amend it to say that we need this number of members of Parliament approving request or agreement before it can carry. If not, simple majority. So 38 members of parliament are seated on the floor, and then half of that, which will be about let's say 70, will vote for the issue. It becomes binding. That is what the Constitution says.
All right. Mami Musa Honorable, his final comments this evening, so we can take leave of him, sir.
Well, thank you very much. My final comment is definitely going to be about the individual Ghanaians who are listening to us, the Ghanaians who have the opportunity to exercise their franchise on the 7th December this year, should look at the performance of the economy, how hard the economy is, and they should look at all the promises that are being made by the political parties, especially my party, the NDC. You should look at all the policies that the party want to come up with in our manifesto, and then also they should look at their condition as we speak today. 8 years from 2016 up to today, they should look at how the economy of Ghana has run. I'm not the one who should tell them. They should just assess themselves. And then when they go to the polls, they should go and vote. And for them, and for me to advise them, they should vote for my party so that John Dramani Mahama can come back to govern this country and implement all the good policies that we have in the manifesto so that the people of this country can improve their lives. That is my concluding part for this discussion. I want to thank you very much for giving me the platform to do this.
You are most welcome, Honorable. And thanks also for coming. We truly appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right.
Onua 95.1 FM. 95.1 FM. Yeah,